Hey everyone, if you are wanting to feel more of a sense of purpose on a regular daily basis and you're really trying to figure out what the purpose is of your life, then I think you're going to find this session very helpful. My name's Hicks. If you haven't met me yet, I'm a mental health coach, founder of mentalhealthcoaching.com and the SSS conditioning method. We've helped over 400 people get over depression and anxiety, typically in about 90 days or about 90 to 100 days on average right now. And I used to be suicidal and I overcame depression. I want you to be able to have the mental health you deserve. So that's why we put these sessions together for you. So in today's lesson, I want to talk about the idea of purpose. So this was provoked because I just had a client who had sent me a message, and I want to read this message because I think this will be very interesting too. So essentially what she said is she was going through the program and she was making a lot of headway. And she all of a sudden sent me this message where she said, "Hey Ty, just need to know, as this is bothering me, by the end of this program, will I be able to find purpose/my passion in life, as I am feeling a lack of that, something substantial to do in life?" And here's what I replied. I said, "Yes, but not in the way that you think. Focusing on finding a purpose, the purpose, or my purpose is significance-driven thinking. You are measuring whether you are good enough and wanting to find something big enough to make you feel good about yourself with that type of thinking. Think of it instead as living life with purpose, lowercase p, not purpose, capital case P. Lowercase p, purpose, is about doing anything and everything with a chosen intention. It's more about a state of being moment by moment rather than a far off distant box that you need to check, like I've now accomplished my purpose. So you could be a mother lovingly, I put bold, right? So you could be a mother lovingly, as if that's the lowercase p purpose. Or you can run a business passionately, or you can serve your community faithfully, right? Those were all kind of bolded, indicating that those are all kind of the lowercase p purposes that she could imbue into her life. I said, you will feel truly fulfilled by living life in accordance with chosen values, or chosen intentions would be a way that might make more sense for you if you're not a member of one of our programs. But I teach this process with our clients called a values clarification, where we figure out, like, what are your real values? What do you really want your life to be about, right? And that really becomes the purpose, which is living your life in accordance with those chosen values, moment by moment, not trying to build yourself up into matching some imaginary ideal, right? And then I added further, I said, there isn't one passion or purpose in life. There can be many things that make you feel passionate and make you feel purposeful, right? So that's kind of the big thing that I wanted to start this little session off with you guys in this conversation, because there's so much conversation out there about finding my purpose, the purpose. And we talk about it. It kind of finally hit me this past year, where that line of thinking was actually a big source of emotional pain for myself too, because I thought in that sort of binary way of, like, I'm either living my purpose or I'm not living my purpose. And what I've found is incredibly helpful is to instead take a step back and say, okay, let's not look at it as I'm either living my purpose or I'm not living my purpose, but rather, am I living my life purposefully on the whole, right? And that doesn't mean that, like, every moment has to be completely, absolutely completely productive, let's say, but it's about living life intentionally. It's about putting yourself in the driver's seat and saying, wait a minute, how do I want this experience to go, right? What do I really want for my business, or for a particular friendship I have, or for my health, right? And bringing purpose to each of those areas of your life, being in the driver's seat in each of those areas of your life, making sure that you have a clear goal or intention in each of those areas of your life that you're making headway towards. That feeling of progress and purpose, lowercase p, purpose, is what really makes people feel fulfilled. The thing that makes people unfulfilled is when they get way in their head about whether they are doing something big enough, substantial enough, meaningful enough. And what's happening is they're going into the ego trap. The ego trap is where you go into your head and you are no longer connected with yourself in the moment. What you are doing is you're comparing yourself with this new mental imaginary ideal. The way I always visualize it in my head is we kind of we compare ourselves, right, being, say like 2 inches tall, to then being compared to this imaginary ideal that's like 2 feet tall in our head. So we immediately feel small. So in our head we go, gosh, I'm not living, I need to find my purpose, because if I had my purpose, then I'd feel big enough and significant enough, and I would feel good enough, and my self-esteem would be really great. And so when people compare themselves to that big imaginary ideal where like this thunderbolt of passion has, struck them in the ass, then they feel small. They feel like their current regular daily life is inconsequential. And it makes it feel like the game of life is essentially not able to be won until this like long, far off, distant moment in the future where you magically feel this moment of purpose in your life. And so what I found is that line of thinking is pretty akin to pursuing perfection, really, right? And of course we know that if we try to pursue perfection, we're just going to feel burnt out and pissed off, because it's just not going to help you. So a much more achievable way to feel fulfilled is to think about life not having one purpose, but think of life having many, many different purposes, right? One of them could be to be loving. One of them could be to grow and challenge yourself. One of the purposes could be to have fun. One of them could be to learn, right? And so those different purposes are going to need to be activated at different times in your life. So if you can have more of a menu of options to choose from, a menu of different purposeful things you can do in your life that bring you joy, it makes it so the game is a lot more obtainable, a lot more achievable. And I'll admit that I'm not even a pro at this yet, because I have been very keen over the years to be so relentlessly hell-bent on this one particular form of being purposeful in my life, which is me doing this work with you guys. I mean, the biggest impediment to my mental health in the past couple of years, even though I've not felt depressed, has been when I get in my head worrying about, am I contributing enough? Are we teaching enough people these life-changing skills that we need to? And the more, though, that I'm learning to just go, look, let's just drop that. Let's drop comparing it to some imaginary ideal in our head, and instead just get back into a state of forward motion where you are giving or contributing in some way, then the more fulfilling it gets. Because as you start to consistently go back and reactivate that lowercase p purpose of like, I'm here to grow, I'm here to contribute, I'm here to love other people, then it makes it so that you feel like you're winning the game instantaneously. Like maybe another good example of this would be like, imagine I don't know why this metaphor is coming to my mind, but I guess it's because right now I'm watching a tennis tournament in my spare time. And it's Wimbledon going on right now, and that's one of my favorite sporting events. So like, if you were a tennis player and your whole attitude is, I have to win the tournament, right? And that's the only benchmark that you have for your own success, is I either win the tournament or I lose the tournament. Well, guess what? You're going to be stressed out. And if you don't win the tournament, your mental health's going to decline tremendously. But a player who instead had an attitude of, you know what, my intention is to go into this tournament, number one, to have fun. Number two, to absolutely just do my best. If I win the tournament, great. If I don't win the tournament, that's okay, but I'm just going to give my best and do my best. And third, I want to come out a better player than I went in. Right? Well, now all of a sudden, we've gone from capital P purpose of like, I have to win the tournament. It has to meet this particular criteria. It has to be this ideal. And now we're making it something much more accessible, much more tangible, much more reachable on a moment-by-moment basis. I don't think anyone would disagree that second player is going to have much better mental health than the first. And they're probably going to perform better too. Right? They're probably going to actually do better in the area of their life that matters to them. And so I find that that's the exact same case for me. Like in a moment like this where I'm literally just focusing on, I'm even though I don't know you necessarily, I may have never met you, I'm literally imagining what your face might look like and like how you're receiving this. And all I'm trying to do is just pour whatever energy or insight I can into helping you and serving you. And the more I just kind of do that and I let the imagery fall to the wayside of, well, how do you think I look right now? And, do you think my Nirvana t-shirt is, stupid looking, right? Like the more I just get out of my head about whether it's good enough, whether it measures up, and I just get into a mode of taking action purposefully, then the fulfillment comes. And thankfully, the side benefit of that too, maybe the main benefit, is it adds more value to the world. Because when we get into our head about being hung up on what is my purpose, what is the purpose, what's the purpose of life, what's my purpose, then we end up not taking a lot of action. We end up not doing much very purposefully, which is the irony, right? Like we end up not giving our unique gift to the world. We end up not giving our spirit or our soul or connecting with people or being loving to other people because we're so in our head about how it's going to look or if it's going to be good enough. And that was this client of mine's challenge, as she had spent years getting so hung up about what's my purpose. And so now what she's learning to do is just to live life purposefully, and that's working out a lot better. So I think that's about all I have to say on that for now, but I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. Let us know in the comments as always. And hopefully this served you. If it did, like it, share it, save it for later, and we're happy to serve you. But I'll be excited to see you in the next one. See you guys.